Do you think I can harness the emotion again,
Okay.
a second time for something like this?
Kick it up. Welcome to the Caption contest voting.
That's what I should say.
We're live.
All right. Well, welcome to the Caption contest judging of Dan Misdea, the cartoonist who's here, who created the Caption. As always, we will judge anonymously. We don't use any crowdsourcing except this very crowd that's here. We usually have a spirited discussion of the cartoon and our opinions. And then Dan will tell us what his caption was. But first, I want to introduce Dan Misdea, who is a cartoonist. First of all, am I pronouncing your name right? I have a feeling there's a little bit in the middle there that's wrong.
No, you got it. Spot on.
Misdea. So, Dan, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you were doing when you gave up whatever lucrative career you had in front of you to become a cartoonist.
Sure. So I grew up in New Jersey, and always wanted to be a cartoonist. But my life kind of went in a different path. Ended up studying economics in college and went the very stable route of accounting and finance. And I worked in finance for about 6 years until, I just needed an escape, and always cartooned on the side, and decided to take the plunge and start submitting to the New Yorker and try to make a career out of it. And so far it's worked out. And I guess to kind of backtrack, my uncle's a cartoonist, so I was inspired at a very young age.
So tell us about him. So where did he cartoon for? What was his name?
Patrick McDonald. He's the creator of Mutts. So, I wanted to be like him, and I was always drawing, but I guess I went towards logic, and not pursue cartooning, and I regret that. But here I am now. So
no, I think it's from my own experience is that when I got out of college in 1966 and 67, I had done cartoons at Syracuse University myself, and we had some shows and stuff like that. And I went around to the magazines of that time. There were actually magazines you could go around to at that time. There was Look, the Saturday Evening Post, not the New Yorker. You couldn't just walk into the New Yorker, but other ones were. And I had done these 27 cartoons, which I thought were like the most number of cartoons a human being could possibly do. And there were all different styles. And I went around, and I was very nervous because I can remember it now, even being in maybe it was Look, in the offices of Look. And I think there was actually a drawing of Lee Loren's cartoon, and and they were very nice to me and everything. And they were encouraging, but they didn't buy anything. So I said, well, fuck them. I can't see genius, what am I going to do? And so I went off in the 60s and did many things. And then I went to graduate school. And then in 73, I was on the cusp of my PhD. I said, it's one of the longest cusp. And I realized it wasn't working out. And then I was just about to be 30. And I said, I'm going to be a cartoonist. And I was successful fairly soon in a certain way. But I do felt that actually that time I had spent doing other things, that if I had been, I think I would have been successful to some extent if I had done it at, 21 or 22. But I don't think my cartoons would have been good. I think that period of time, having these other intellectual interests, pursuing things I were actually interested in, gave me a broader background for when I finally did cartoon. And I would think in a way, maybe your cartoons also, reflect that you have
absolutely.
You know what I mean? A bigger.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, so I don't think you should regret it. And anyway, I love your cartoons. I think they're great. I think the number one, like most cartoonists, most of your cartoons stink, but that's just the necessary thing. They don't really stink, but they don't quite hit the mark, right? Because that's when you're a cartoonist, you know that. I was just talking about that with Joel, in that one of the things the
Oh
caption
yeah.
contest
Oh, I
shows,
hear you.
one of the things the caption contest shows is there's often a better caption or a different caption. For you could have done it differently. And I think of course, Lawrence was writing a great book about the caption contest, and in his discussions with the cartoonists, a lot of them said, well, what can you learn from the caption contest? Not much about humor, except maybe there's different ideas. I think you can learn a lot about it. One thing as a cartoonist that you automatically learn is you go back and you look at the cartoons you did and you create a better caption or another idea. That the cartoons, each one of the cartoons you did is a potential, and the caption, and the caption contest there. But really, Dan's cartoons, whether they're an airmail, the New Yorker, up on our site, are they're funny. They're drawn, I think, exactly right in just sort of a whimsical, free way. Tell us a little bit about your style there. Have you gone through different iterations of that, of like how you
Yeah,
drew and how you were influenced?
sure. Geez, where do you start? I mean, your style is kind of, how you draw naturally, and then who you're influenced by. And I'd say I drew a lot more like my uncle, or tried to when I was younger, but his is, much more, scratchy and looser, and
Yeah.
I was tighter, or I wanted to be tighter. And I guess like as I was exploring comics, and when I discovered New Yorker cartoons, um, there were certain cartoonists that really spoke to me, like um, Michael Maslin, Mick Stevens, and I feel like my style is kind of in between there. It's looser, but there's still a little bit of tightness, and
Yeah, I
the
think
more cartoons you read, and more
yeah.
cartoonists you study, you pick up on little things, and you borrow, maybe Joe Dater's eyes or faces, and or
Interesting.
uh, just stuff like that. You pick up
Now,
on stuff and try to
how long have
incorporate
you
in
been
your.
drawing? How long you've been drawing our cartoons now, since you like actually started to go the single panel route? How long have
Since
you
I
been doing
started
it?
single panels.
Yeah, or
I started single panels right before 2020. I started
I see.
drawing. Yeah.
Well, one of the interesting things is, let's say you look at a cartoonist like Jack Ziegler, you can look him up on the site, or you. Some people's styles stay exactly the same, and others
Hmm.
naturally drift a little bit. Naturally drift. Jack's definitely did. Usually over time, it's almost unnoticeable
Sure.
in a way. And I think it's I don't know if you'll find that in yourself. How do you actually
Yeah.
work with the cartoon? Do you draw it? Do you do a rough and a finish, or your? I mean, I think I've seen your roughs, so they're pretty much, the style is pretty much what it's going to be. It's not that much looser, right?
Yeah. It's not that much different. Um, and I guess like, yeah, if you look back at some cartoonists' work who've been doing it forever, you see like over decades that their style has changed. So I try to I try to experiment as much as I can, since I'm pretty much just starting. Um,
I think
and
I think what you find is that it's like your handwriting in a
yeah,
way. As long
it
as you don't
changes.
as long as you don't freeze it
Yeah,
intentionally, it'll drift.
right. Yeah, it's definitely in the past 2 years it's changed. I'd say like my roughs are a little more closer to my finishes now, or I mean, I do my roughs on digitally, and then I started doing my finishes, on with pen and ink on
Well,
paper.
that's a good idea. I think I'm going to see you
Yeah,
tomorrow at Beth's thing, right? Beth Lawler.
well,
Are you,
yeah, tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah, well, Beth has curated cartoons, and if you ever want to
Oh, that's
sell
right.
originals, it makes sense to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Anyway, why don't
Also,
we
just
get to
Let me let me share the drawing in
share
question.
the image? And
So I'll quickly review our caption contest. It is man, woman, couch at home, and a bunch of beavers chewing everything, and the woman is talking.
I forget. I mean, there are cartoons like this that don't have beavers in them. I don't know. Maybe it's a David Borchardt cartoon. Maybe there was even a Caption cartoon where there's a lot of sheep.
Was,
Larry, do you
yeah.
remember?
Yeah.
You know, in the room,
was
and so well. Let's go to Dan. But we don't want to know what the caption is. But what was your what's your process here? You know, people always ask this. It's the most cliche question in the world. You're creating this. This is probably a cartoon you created elsewhere, right? That you submitted, and then when we asked you for caption contest, you looked for ones that you thought might work, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I remember, you know, you're desperate. All cartoonists are desperate for ideas, and I was very desperate for an idea for this one. And I was like, I don't have I'm just gonna draw a bunch of beavers in a room. I was just doodling beavers, and I was like, I'm just gonna try to make this work. I usually like have a caption figured out or have a little more confidence before I actually start drawing something. But I was like, I just want to have fun and do this. And yeah, so I drew.
So you just want to do it. I got to say, it's a lovely drawing. You know, like going back to what you said, it's got a real playfulness of something like Maslin. It's a little bit tighter, though. It's like, you know,
Sure.
It's tighter, and I think you go with that. And I think it looks great. And I was talking to Joe with this. Now, I think one of the differences between a caption cartoon and one that appears often in a magazine is that once you have the picture as delightful as this, if it's just in a magazine, you don't need much. You need something to get it off the ground. And people will be happy with it. Because in the caption contest, it's sort of this thing where, in our case, you're waiting a month, you're waiting 3 weeks. You sort of expect someone to do a little dance for you to, whereas I think when you look at regular cartoons, like we might have seen, it could be as simple as, I guess one of them is, I want to talk to you about the Beavers. It could be, it's not really a joke, but it can be something very mild. I mean, there's a Mick Stevens cartoon that was actually in the magazine where there's 2 scientists looking at pandas, but the pandas are in bed like a middle-aged couple. And okay, so it's a joke really there, right? Because, we want the pandas to reproduce. And all that he's saying is, well, this isn't getting us anywhere. And that's perfect for the magazine. You know what I mean? Because it is funny, but it wouldn't work for the contest. What do you think about that, Larry? You know what I'm saying? It works in the magazine, but it wouldn't be favored. It wouldn't get the votes in the contest. But somehow it's maybe, when you're a cartoonist, you've done all this work. I'm sure when you did this, Dan, you see, the joke is almost there. Everything about this is funny to start with. What do you think, Larry?
Yeah, well, I think that's true. I like Mick Stevens' caption for his cartoon, but I was talking about this with Robert Layton regarding one of his drawings that ended up in a recent contest. It's Sherlock Holmes with a magnifying glass, looking at the crossword puzzle, and Watson's there, and Holmes is saying something. And Robert was saying that was the only captionless drawing he ever submitted to the magazine specifically for the contest, because he said it almost works by itself. And he said, but I knew it would be funnier with a caption, but I couldn't figure out what it should be, and I just thought I'm going to let it be somebody else's problem. And it was a great drawing for the contest. I thought there were a lot of good captions.
And there were a lot of good. There were actually a lot of very good
There were.
entries that, and this is what I talked to Joe about earlier today. This is what it sort of reveals, that there are more ways into any drawing than any one person can conceive of. You know what I mean? And that the contest is its own thing also, in that it's both, in conversations I've had with Larry, it's like, I mean, and sometimes in writing the book, it's like, oh, this is great. Everybody's participating and great in that. But now we're crowdsourcing it to, some people who aren't funny, which, whatever. And so you get a mixed bag. But when you think about it, it's crowdsourcing on both sides, and so that's the advantage. You've seen the crowdsourcing on the first side, which is okay. It's probably, and now you have all these opinions, coming in and flaws with the thing. Okay, so now we're looking at this, and it's over to you, Trevor. So because now we actually have to get down to work.
We do. So like always, everyone sent me their captions separately. And I have compiled them, all of our picks, about top 10. And this, just because we have a little format, and I'll make it larger for everybody, these are the ones that were across, that were matches across all of ours. So these ended up in multiple of our top 10s. And I'll read them for sake of brevity here. A souvenir jar of maple syrup would have been fine. Actually, it's not anything like ants at a picnic. And then on Tuesday, the penguins will be here for buffing and waxing. I thought they were both female. I'm picking the next Airbnb. We share the same taste in furniture. What Beavers? You said we needed flood insurance.
Okay, so what Beavers is the kind of stuff that I was talking about.
Yeah.
That where you have it right and you just sort of finish it off. It doesn't really it sort of ignores it in a way, and make this very thing just, or it doesn't really, but it's enough. If you saw it in a magazine, it would absolutely be enough. You would have enjoyed that image so much. You would have laughed at it because it would have surprised you that you would do it. It would do the job. I mean, I wouldn't think that this is
here. I don't. It's too easy. I think for this one, it's almost like formulaically easy to ignore.
Weird one. That
it's a good caption.
What's that?
It does the job. It provides closure to the drawing, and like you said, it surprises you. It's
yeah,
I mean, I like short captions, so
yeah, and it would work. But I would say that what works best in the mag, so that's a difference. I would say there is what might work best in the magazine wouldn't work best. The contest is its own thing,
right?
Yeah,
it's for judging it within the contest, not as if it were in the magazine. So
exactly,
so I might pop that one out right now, actually, to limit. As we'll have to get down to 6, and obviously we can incorporate others. But I think Larry was bopping his head, saying that it was a little bit too easy.
Yeah, it works. It's fine, but it is too easy, I think.
It doesn't do exactly what we want to do with the caption contest. Is we want someone to actually solve this comic puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We want them to solve this within the premise and within, what Robert Layton has called the parameters of how free you are to do it. And all of that will depend on our individual taste. Like Larry likes, and I sort of like to a thing where there's a middle part that somehow you have to, that isn't even mentioned. In other words, the part about, a souvenir of now we have to put together the whole thing about going to Canada. And in other words, there's a whole other part that
it's telling a story and not just explaining what's in the
right. It's telling a whole sort of story, and so it's really something that's like the amazing amount of things that people can do with compression of ideas.
Mhm.
The other problem with what Beavers is that it doesn't really reconcile the two disparate frames of reference.
Right.
And there are two disparate frames here. I mean, there's the domestic setting and then the Beavers, and the furniture. And what Beavers just doesn't
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But what
reconcile
Beavers?
those two.
It's interesting you mentioned Canada. There were a lot that mentioned Canada, and I guess I don't associate Beavers with Canada so much, but it was very interesting to see.
But that's the thing. It made you think. It still worked for me because I understood what it.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of Wally ones, a lot of Leave It to Beaver ones, and then one other thing I just wanted to point out. I should have had it when we had Dan's cartoon up. Is a couple people mentioned that they came in through the window, and the window's clearly closed in the drawings. I'm glad that none of us had those.
Yeah,
but
that wouldn't have been good even if the window was open.
No, I didn't care
because once again we're still looking for. I think. There's another story. Each one is like we think of, well, if this was a skit, what actually happened? What actually happened before this? What are their motivation?
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, for actually, it's not anything like Ants at a Picnic. It's somehow the guy thinks this is okay.
Yeah, I like that one. It's a response.
I mean,
to something.
it's still very, very loose.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's still very loose. But on the other thing, as we've discussed before, it did make me laugh.
Yeah.
Or it surprised me in terms, and just even the wording about it, like just the feel of it. It's not that somehow you imagine that conversation where he's okay with it. Of course, she also is the one getting her shoulder chewed on.
Yes. Yes, she is getting her shoulder chewed on.
Okay.
And then obviously the first one does reference Canada.
Do you think on that, because I put that on my list, but I think now I'm seeing it sort of coldly again. I think it worked because you're looking down a whole list of captions and there's a lot of Canada references, and then you see this one and you think, oh, that's a better way of playing the Canada card. But then out of the context of seeing lots of other people attempting the Canada card, it feels a little bit weaker. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way.
Well, probably we have another consideration that almost everybody who will be interested in this will have seen all the captions.
Yeah, in the voting, yeah. What's interesting is another thing that we didn't pick. There were so many about puns on the variation of the word "damn," and then so many people wrote about gnawing feelings.
No, those weren't.
And I just wanted to give an overview that it's interesting that none of us chose any of those.
And also, Trevor,
low-hanging fruit there.
Yeah.
What was your prediction, Trevor? You thought in terms of the beaver jokes?
I was worried. Yeah, having grown up in Pennsylvania,
there were a number.
There were some
sexual. Not as many as
there were a
Trevor
number, and there were a number of, I guess, what I would call them erection jokes as well.
And the wood. I actually didn't think of the wood as much as the beaver. But both were incorporated.
I am going to go to bat for a couple sex jokes. But
okay, go ahead. There we go.
Well, let's first. Let's
okay. Can we get this down? I thought some of them were funny also, and I forget which one. Let's see if it's the same. I mean, I did think they were fun.
Let's try to get this down to 6, and then we can go through our picks, because we're gonna have to get down to 6 somehow. So I think I'm gonna first. I think we had a second.
I think I'm picking the next Airbnb is good cartoon.
Yeah, well,
I think that maybe it doesn't completely resolve everything, but it's a good cartoon.
I thought they were both female, and I'm picking the next Airbnb were the 2 that were on 3 of ours.
All right, so let's put them in. That itself should.
I will say everyone's had this experience. My wife's a teacher, and we did have a male and female gerbil that made 100 kids. That actually happened in her classroom. So I did like that one. And Airbnb. So
So explain to me the penguins. Is it something actually happening because they waddle and somehow we're actually imagining them buffing and waxing, or is it just like a wacky joke? Is there something?
Yeah,
What
I
do you
didn't get
think?
that one.
I actually like this one. I thought it was like the character, the woman, was trying to provide a logical explanation for something absurd, and that logical explanation was also absurd, but made sense at the same time.
Which
Like
caption is this? The
I
penguins?
just kind of pictured then penguins coming in, and I don't know. I just thought it was.
Oh, so the woman
It
is
was so
saying
absurd, but it also made sense.
Yeah, it's what's funny is the normalizing it, isn't it? She's sort of saying,
Yeah.
it's that act of kind of going, yeah, and then the penguins are turning up on the Tuesday. It's just kind of, it's the offhandedness, the making them irregular as regular as possible, isn't it?
That is an important part of the drawing, is that she's taking it all in stride.
well, is she or isn't she?
Well, she's calm.
Well, yeah, she's calm, but she's not taking it all in stride when she said, no, it's not anything like Ants at a picnic. She's not taking it in stride there.
No,
and you could see that she's the one who would just normally, from what Dan drew, have the problem, because she's actually got one of the beavers gnawing on her shoulder.
Right.
So I do think now we could, I mean, obviously she can take it in stride, so I think that's okay also. But I do think, anyway, that
So I suppose it's whether the jokes around them being an infestation or whether the jokes around them being part of the family. I suppose maybe that's.
Yeah.
I think if we're going to take, it sounds like if we're going to take one out of.
Well, anyway, we should definitely if Dan likes that, we should put it in. He's our guest.
So,
you know what I mean?
And I propose.
So I'm putting in extra criteria here that may not exist prior, but
no. So I think the one that we knock out before we go to our individuals, then I'm proposing, is the souvenir jar. Or do you wanted to do or flood insurance?
I would knock out same taste in furniture.
Same taste in furniture.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Let's knock that out.
That's the one we don't like.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just a pun. You know, that's
it's a bad pun.
That's bad.
Done.
Yeah. Even though we.
All right. So we have 6. Now we will go through and see if anyone wants to fight for any of theirs.
Can I fight? Can I fight for one of?
Yes, go ahead.
My list. I mentioned this to Bob earlier because I thought I don't even know I'll get through the sentence without laughing, but I know no one else will find it funny. I have a history of not having the same sense of humor as everyone else.
That's not Is it this one?
Yes, I absolutely love that one. I don't know why I find it so. I think I find it funny because it's not the infestation. It's treating it as normal, and it's treating it as family. And then also you get this mental story of, the Beavers really excited about seeing this film and have kind of sat there with
maybe
going, I hope we get to see that.
Maybe we put that in. I think it's I think it's the most creative.
Are there 14 beavers in the cartoon?
Right. You mean 16? Oh, 1, 2.
Yeah, there should be 14 beavers, 2 humans. Unless we don't know that the beavers voted. All the beavers voted.
Yes, there are 14. There are 14 beavers, so we assume that the humans that they're all trying to choose what to watch.
No, they all, for the purposes of this joke, they all voted.
It is a silly. It is a silly caption for sure.
Well, Dan, what do you think? Is it too far away from your vision, or is it?
No, I mean, it's very far away from my vision. I like it. It's creative. I thought about putting this in my top 10, but
I mean, look, it's hard. Look, there were a lot. There were 409, as I remember, captions. It's not quite a bit. It's not obviously what the New Yorker is, but I think in the end we get really good. We get good captions because the people. It's a lot of self-selection there.
Okay,
so I would. Why don't we throw that in there?
I threw that one in there. Yep. Should we go, Bob? Do you want to do yours? Or
no. I'll tell you what's going to happen this week. Lawrence, the whatever the umpteenth time finalist, and And I mean, the is going to get to pick it. We honor Lawrence. He's in the magazine again. He's done it yet again. He gets to pick it. Just don't pick the wrong one, Lawrence. I mean, after all this build-up, you picked the wrong one.
So, Lawrence, what are your favorite dirty ones, or which ones would you like?
The favorite dirty ones.
Okay, for the dirty ones, all right. Sure, Protect That Wood made me laugh out loud. And partly because it did a nice job of making a reference to how the man is actually holding the cup of coffee. I mean, he's holding it as if he is trying to protect himself. So I appreciate it.
But I don't know, but doesn't he? Maybe we shouldn't go here.
Popcorn bucket.
I'm trying. I mean, it's not actually wood, is it? At that stage.
This is Bob. Now you're sounding like
I don't want to get too here, but you know what I'm saying. But it works for the caption.
I do.
I think it works for the caption.
But I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna.
I think maybe we're better off not having that.
Right.
No, I agree.
The other ones that I liked. Wait, was there another sex joke? I don't think so. I really did like the very long caption. The upstairs toilet and the upstairs sink and the upstairs tub and the downstairs toilet and the downstairs sink and the kitchen sink are clogged. And I thought that was a rare example.
I don't. So how do the Beavers do that? What do they do to make it?
Because they build dams wherever they see water. So every time they see a faucet, they're building a dam. And
I take back what I said. I take back what I said about Lawrence getting to choose. Because
I'm not. I just want to explain.
It's just I understand you like it because of that, but still, it involves a little too much mental work.
That's fine, and I will take care of this in the commentary. I just wanted to highlight.
All right, but I understand that it's like really, I think with the movie one, we have a pretty complicated one that still makes you think a little bit, and there it's just it's almost it has a little feel of a meta joke of that it's not actually going to work completely as a joke, but then we're going to appreciate it. Anyway, that's my feeling. That's my.
I don't think that should be put it in the top 6.
You can put it if you want. You can put it in the top 6. As
no. I'm happy to keep it out of there because I don't think it's as strong as other ones. I'm just highlighting some that I liked.
Okay, sure.
This is kind of along the lines of What Beavers, but I did like There Are More Upstairs. Want to see them? As if she's not really upset. She thinks it's wonderful that they're there.
Yeah.
Well,
there were a lot of cat lady variations as well.
There were, but this was, I thought, by far the best wording. At least I'm not a crazy cat lady.
But that I felt was, the whole cat thing was just didn't really address it. I mean, I guess here's the thing. If you don't really address it, you really got to be funny. And that's hard to actually pin down.
That's right.
For me, that's hard to pin down when that happens. And that's the part of jokes you can't really explain. And is individual. It's got to strike you. So after Joel points that out to me, the movie one, then I like it. But it didn't occur to me in that moment. It didn't all come together. And so, that's the variability of it. But I think it's good. So what are we down to and what are we going to
Well, Bob, do you have any that you want to fight for from yours? A lot of yours actually made the list.
No, I'm okay with what anyone goes here. I think these are all really good. I don't think it's so much better than the which ones do we have?
How about
now?
you, Dan? Dan, do you have any from your list that you were surprised we didn't pick?
Not really. I mean, I did like the Penguins one. Fostering until they find an unpolluted river. I thought that was smart. I mean, good thing you're wearing a cup. That one shocked me.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you guys.
You also
I know.
noticed the cup was
You
over
must
the
not be
genitals.
aware.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I didn't have any. I had one that was sort of interesting. I didn't know about. I think the idea of rescue animals has now reached like the annoying trait of talking about being a vegan or talking about CrossFit. I think now.
Oh, I see.
I didn't. I noticed a few rescues. It's just more of a cultural thing to notice that. I mean, I know your house is full of rescues. My house is full of rescues, and we foster. But apparently, rescuing is now the new like. Just shut up about your veganism and CrossFitism. And I just wanted to highlight that that's now entered that realm of things to make fun of.
Oh, well, see, that's interesting because one of that I've commented about New Yorker cartoons. There's a moment when the topic is people don't know about it enough, and there's a moment when they know about it, which is exactly right, and then there's a moment where they know about it too much.
Yeah.
So you'll see that with the ChatGPT phenomenon.
That'll happen
very
too.
quickly. You know what I mean? At a certain point, nobody knows about it. Then too many people know about it. Then there are a million jokes about it. Then it's gone. The rescues, that's interesting. So people are actually rescuing.
Well, I don't think it's a great caption. I just thought I was surprised at how often it was there, and that rescues is now part of that. And then I guess speaking of we were talking about her reaction. I'm leaving you, but for the record, it's not because of the Beavers. But I don't know. That's not funny. It's just that was addressing her nonchalance with the Beavers chewing on her.
Right.
That one was close for me too.
So now we have added Joel's.
I feel really bratish now because no one else has forced their one thing.
No, I agree with your Joel's. When you're reading so many, I do read the long ones because I don't want to skip any, but long ones get hurt a little more, and I think it's a good to build a case around a longer one. So we are now at 1, 2,
7.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need to knock one out and then pick a winner. And I can put some on the caption on the image itself if it will help us. Decide.
I think the two I like the least are Ants at a Picnic and Flood Insurance are the ones that speak to me the least.
The ones I like the least are Flood Insurance and Airbnb.
Okay.
The ones I like the least are Airbnb and then the Penguins.
The ones I like the least are the maple syrup and the flood insurance.
All right, so we got rid of flood insurance. Or Bob, go ahead. Sorry, before
the ones I like the least are Joel and Trevor. No, just pick it. This is like
it sounds like we have a consensus to knock out flood insurance.
I think so.
Yeah, sure.
So now we do need a winner here. Do we want to go through?
Well, now it almost eliminates all of them when you look at the ones that people don't like.
The thing about they were both female is it's not specific to Beavers.
Yeah, that's true. And
so I wouldn't make that the winner. And I didn't care for Airbnb, so I wouldn't make that the winner either.
Okay, so what are we down?
I'm just gonna put some captions on these here for people here. So this is Joel's.
Still making me laugh.
That's good.
That would be nice, actually, to win, I think.
Well, we'll put a couple others here.
Well, I mean, the other ones are all exactly in the same ballpark in terms of their valence, sort of how they feel, except for the buffing penguins. That's weirder, and
This is off topic, I realize, but I just want to note that Love Actually is one of the only movies I've ever tried to watch and couldn't make it through. It was the worst movie.
It's the perfect movie for the caption.
I'm sorry?
The fact that they picked that movie was perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, such an awful movie.
It is sort of a neat, unusual caption. And I don't know. Maybe why don't we go with it? You know what
I
mean?
kind of like it, and also they're sitting in the position where it looks like they're about to watch a movie on TV, and they're trying to choose. I like it.
And this, after
No,
all
this is
these
great.
months when Joel had to be diff for his, so that's going to be the winner. And Joel, you lobbied for that in your own
Yeah, I did.
very, very
I'm actually,
polite way.
I'm very pleased about. Genuinely, I'm very excited. Every time I see it, it's still
I think it's
making
our
me laugh.
first winner that came from a personal one, and well, yeah, I agree.
Okay. Wow, this is. I don't know what to say. I'm very pleased for the winner. It's nothing to do with me, I should say. That's whoever. Yeah, whoever.
Oh, can we find out
is behind that caption is.
Yes. Although let's now look at the votes and
Let's
take
look at
a
the
look
votes.
at the.
I don't think this is going to be in the top 10, is it? That's the embarrassing thing. We have just.
Well,
we just-
it's not
like-
embarrassing at
Joel,
all.
as we rarely had a winner in the top 10. All right, so again, I'm going to have to read these because we do have the emails on these. We'll have to get Chris to fix that, but here we go. No, the winner of the caption of the judging, not ours, but of the public, is They're Teething by
They what?
Rachel Cameron. So let's give her a shout out. Rachel, you were the most popular by the public.
Why don't, can you show? Oh, we're not allowed to show the.
I can.
Yeah. I don't want to revealing their email or anything.
No, I think I've got it here. If I close my window, we're good. They're teething.
That's not so bad.
This is why we can't have nice things. Generic.
No, that's not good. Their teething is interesting because I know I've had dogs, a lot of dogs that my wife likes, and they come in and they're at one point they're chewing up all your stuff and your shoes and everything. There's always that kind of.
I'll get you a coaster is funny in that like she actually cares about the table or they care about the damage. I feel so lazy around them. It's busy beaver puns. There were a few. I'm picking the next Airbnb, which did rate. Look, Todd, I'm done being subtle. We need to start having more sex. This
Yeah, I saw it. I didn't want any of those.
I thought they were yours is another very irreverent, and we share the same taste in furniture.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm going to stop recording.